Alright, hey guys, Paxer, welcome back to another Pokemon Pocket video. As the title states, I'm going to be ranking all the EXs from the latest booster set, Celestial Guardians. There are a total of 11 EXs here. I'm including Rayquaza EX because why not? And yeah, if you guys are new to my channel, I make Pokemon Pocket content pretty much daily. The new pack should be coming out in probably like a week and a half from now, from the time I'm uploading this video. So yeah, consider liking and subscribing so you don't miss out on Pokemon Pocket content. And yeah, this is going to be kind of a free-form video. I'm just going to be talking, just going over this list. Hopefully there's some nice soothing music in the background right now for this video. And yeah, I just wanted to do this because again, the new pack should be coming out relatively soon, and I just wanted to show how these EXs fare after almost a month upon their release. And yeah, let's get right into it. So my criteria for judging these EXs and ranking them, it's based on their current performance in the meta overall, as well as future potential in later metas. In other words, if I believe there's high potential that they could buff the cards by adding either support cards or other EXs or non-EXs that have a lot of synergy with these cards, then they're going to be higher in the list. But yeah, let's get right into it. I'm going to be using this website right here as well, Pokemon Zone, just like a little reference. It's amazing. It's very nice to just look up stuff. Like, if you guys haven't used it, I'm not really sponsored, but yeah, they really help me out a lot. They have amazing articles as well as a card search feature, advanced search as well. Like this, yeah, there's really a lot. I really appreciate them kind of helping the community, doing what they do. But yeah, let's get right into it. So the first card, number 11, the worst EX in my opinion out of this bunch is definitely Dhelmise. Like, yeah, Dhelmise, you probably haven't heard much of this guy. This guy was pretty much dead upon the release. He's a basic EX, and this is where stage 2 EXs and just stage 2 in general is really pop off in this meta, specifically because of Rare Candy as well as Lily supporting. And yeah, Dhelmise, basic, HP 140, requires 3 energy to use Anchor Shot, 80 damage, and the main draw is during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. So it's pretty good, but it just really can't compete with other cards, especially, I mean, Decidueye, like, I'll get to Decidueye later on, but yeah, compared to other cards, even non-EX, I feel like you would get more value using Meowscarada, because keep in mind, Meowscarada is still very insane. I can very much see her being super meta for like the foreseeable future. Like, yeah, this is pretty good. Amazing synergy as well, in my opinion, with Decidueye, which again, I'll go more in depth later on. But yeah, this guy, yeah, keep in mind, weak to fire. Most grass are weak to fire. However, in this meta, Incineroar and Charizard EX are very prominent. Given that if this guy is in your active spot early game, he's probably gonna die in a couple turns. Because ideally, like, yeah, when your opponent uses like Incineroar and Charizard, they're gonna be pretty much built by their 3rd turn. And this guy, like, yeah, he requires 3 grass energy. There's aren't really any grass supporters aside from, I'd say, probably like LEAFEON, because LEAFEON does give energy to your one of your grass from its ability. This breathing onto your Pokemon. Yeah, keep in mind, I'll get into Incineroar later on, but yeah, Incineroar, Fire Fang, yeah, once you get him out, probably like your 2nd turn, you can just do Fire Fang. You can do 70 damage onto this Dhelmise right here. So yeah, in a couple of turns, this guy could potentially be dead. And in my opinion, he just really can't keep up in the meta. And I very much, the reason why I put him in the very bottom is because I can very much see him get slowly phased out. Like, they can definitely add another grass EX that's a lot better. And overall, even in previous packs, like, I feel like this guy, he can't really compete compared to other EXs from, like, specifically grass from other booster packs. Like, I feel like Celebi still, you can find a little bit of enjoyment. LEAFEON as well. But this guy, yeah, he has no synergy really with any card. And yeah, it really does suck. But yeah, he lands the number 11 spot. The next card on the list is this monkey right here. Monkey from the Madagascar, looking like King Julian himself. We got Passimian EX. Now this guy, he could be good. He does have potential. But in this current meta, he's pretty useless. Like, the main thing that really hinders this card, in my opinion, is it being an EX. Like, yeah, I feel like if you made this exact same card, but it's not EX, you would get a lot more value. Because, yeah, the main thing that hinders it is that, like, if this guy dies, your opponent gets 2 points. So, meaning that if he kills one of your other Pokemon, it's basically GG. And ideally, you want to get this guy out in the early game. Like, the dumbest thing is to have this guy out in the late game and use him as like a last resort. Because, yeah, his ability right here, Offload Pass, if this Pokemon is in the active spot and is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, move all fighting energy from this Pokemon to one of your benched Pokemon. And this is good, but it has one flaw. This ability specifically is Darkrai. Because if you look at Darkrai EX right here, if you guys don't know, I mean, it's kind of obvious, he kind of dominates the meta, but Nightmare Aura does 20 damage, ability damage. So this is not an attack, keep that in mind. And if you look at Passimian EX, knocked out by damage from an attack, not an ability. So yeah, in other words, if Darkrai kills him with ability, then yeah, that energy goes nowhere. Same thing with Rocky Helmet. If this guy dies to a Rocky Helmet or Poison Barb, yeah, you basically wasted this guy's ability. Seismic Toss is whatever, really. I mean, the main idea for this guy is definitely Offload Pass. And give it that, like, if you think about this, like, if it is a non-EX, this guy would be pretty broken. He would be pretty meta, in my opinion, because you could pair him with Rhyperior. Because Rhyperior, let's look at him right here. Okay, this is Rhyperior right here from Space Time Smackdown Palkia right here. Yeah, requires 4 energy, 150 damage, a lot of damage. Discard top 3 cards of your deck. I mean, late game, hopefully it won't matter as much. Might matter, but we shall see. Depends on your RNG and like what cards get discarded. But yeah, just keep in mind. Okay, so let's say Passimian's fully built. Your next turn, after being fully built, you feed Rhyperior 1 energy, and then let's say their next turn, like your opponent's next turn, Passimian dies. If he dies from an attack, next turn, if you sub in Rhyperior can just attack. So yeah, a lot of potential. Ideally, yeah. And on top with that, if it was non-EX, you could probably pair something like you could also run Marshadow. You can, yeah, if it was non-EX, you can run Marshadow as well. On top of that, you could also probably run like Rampardos. And yeah, it will make basically the card a lot better. Like, yeah, people say like, oh, the HP is kind of bad, Seismic Toss, but in my opinion, just take off that EX label and this guy would be instantly meta. Like, this guy doesn't really, in my opinion, deserve to be an EX, but at the same time, he's gonna be fairly broken. That's the only downside. Thing is, like, I mean, they did add rare candies to this game, and granted, rare candies did give, like, it did change the meta for either the better or the worse. So making this guy non-EX would be rather interesting, but nevertheless, yeah, that's the main reason I put him in the 10th spot. I could see a little bit potential if they do get like more fighting buffs later on. You could see a little bit more play, but in my opinion, he's not really going to be as meta anytime soon. But yeah, 10th spot. 9th spot, we have, okay, yeah, this guy is pure fun. In my opinion, like, he's not really that meta. Like, I don't think this specific Rayquaza EX will ever be like super meta, but he's fun. It's like, yeah, very fun to use. So if you guys don't know, that's pretty unfortunate because you can't get this guy anymore. It's actually kind of crazy. Since this guy's a promo card, yeah, it's kind of sad. You had to be here to get it. And yeah, unless they add like a pity system or like, or if they bring back the older promo pack cards, yeah, you probably won't ever get this guy. If I were Dina, I would keep the same art, but like slightly change it. So like if they ever re-release it, just like keep this art the same and then change the new art. Just to be like, oh, if you actually were at this event, didn't you have something specific for that event? And like it's something original. Kind of appease all like the kind of like collectors out there. I feel like that would work. But yeah, Rayquaza EX, HP 140, colorless. And his ability right here, Draco Meteor, requiring 4 energy, but it can be anything. So yeah, you could, I think for my deck showcase, I paired him with, I think Moltres. So yeah, I mean, you can pair him with Moltres, really anyone that can generate him ki, and you're gonna see a lot of, I was gonna say success, but you're gonna have a lot of fun with this guy, because yeah, his ability, one of your opponent's Pokemon is chosen at random 4 times. For each time a Pokemon was chosen, do 40 damage to it. So in like a hypothetical turn, you could have a chance, like after Rayquaza attacks, you could just sweep your opponent's whole board, or like at least like get like 3 points. It's very unlikely though, in my opinion, because the 40 damage, but yeah, I mean, I've done that with Dragonite, and Dragonite is very similar. Same thing with Wugtrio. But yeah, this guy, if you don't know, it's like Dragonite started like a whole ass archetype right here. Basically the AoE archetype, doing 200 total damage. Keep in mind, Rayquaza only does a total of 160. And if you look at Wugtrio right here, let's see. He does 150. Okay, yeah, so Wugtrio is debatably better than Rayquaza, and it's debatable if Dragonite is better. Technically, I guess not, but if they do add a dragon support, he could be a lot more meta. This is a fun card. You're gonna have a lot of fun using this guy. However, yeah, in my opinion, I feel like currently you're gonna see a lot more enjoyment compared to like the 10th and 11th spot, but at the same time, I don't see him really going anywhere in the future. Like, sure, he's definitely gonna get supports. Like if they ever add like a key support, like an energy support, yeah, he's most likely gonna get that support given that he is colorless. But at the same time, I mean, it's all RNG. That 160 damage could either make or break your game or your screen, depending on how bad you get it. He could do 160 damage. He could potentially do 160 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, which could win you the game, or just like hit somebody in the bench, like I don't know, like Snorlax, and then do other crap. And keep in mind, his HP is kind of low, so he could get one-shotted by like, let's say, Incineroar potentially, as well as Charizard, potentially Giratina as well. But yeah, number 9th spot. Number 8th, we have a guy that I feel like is 1 card away for being somewhat viable. You got Muck right here. Alolan Muck, this freaking abomination himself. Yeah, this guy, Alolan Muck EX, HP 160. Very fun and interesting ability right here. So requires 3 energy, Chemical Panic, 80 damage. 1 special condition among sleep, burn, confuse, paralyzed, and poison is chosen at random, and your opponent's active is now affected by the special condition. Any special conditions already affecting that Pokemon will not be chosen. So yeah, you could, I feel like this card, like, yeah, in the current meta, when it comes to darkness, you definitely get a lot more value using Darkrai, in my opinion. Like Darkrai's passive like attacks and stuff like that, like his ability just to do passive damage is pretty nice, especially paired with Rocky Helmet. But yeah, just looking at this, I mean, Darkrai is a basic Pokemon, whereas Alolan Muck is stage 1. Granted, he has 20 more HP, but at the same time, the current meta, like the Giratina and Darkrai deck, there's a lot of heals. Like you have like what, I think like 2 PC ladies, 2 potions. Yeah, there's a lot of sustainability. Whereas this guy, I mean, I think the main issue is like the key. Like, yeah, you're building him up in your bench. Yeah, sure. But Darkness doesn't really have any key supports, that's one thing. And 2, looking at Darkrai EX, when you're passively building the key, you're also doing damage. So you're getting a lot more value with Darkrai EX overall compared to Alolan Muck. But I feel like if they do add a somewhat like, if they do add a darkness energy, they do add a darkness buff, like let's say like add a card that gives darkness energy, then I feel like this guy would be a lot more viable. Like, but yeah, but you have to also keep in mind that like they do that, then I mean Darkrai will also get the buff. So to counteract that, next pack, like the next booster pack, they could very much just add like an Alolan buff, like oh give 1 energy or key to like an Alolan Pokemon that you have, specifically Alolans. That'd be pretty interesting, instead of like, yeah, that kind of counteracts Darkrai getting built. But keep in mind, Nightmare Aura only works once per turn. It doesn't really say it right here, that's why I put him in the number 8 spot. Number 7, ooh, this guy is very unique. Hands down one of my favorite Pokemon from this booster set. Just some like the aesthetic and like kind of like the uniqueness of this. Probably the most unique in my opinion is Wishiwashi right here. Yeah, Wishiwashi EX. Very interesting because it's, yeah, essentially you're running 4 cards in this deck that are all the same card technically, but not really, because they're both Wishiwashis, because there's the Wishiwashi that's non-EX, the one Wishiwashi, and in the school form, which is the EX. Yeah, this guy, very fun, very similar in my opinion to kind of like Pikachu EX from Genetic Apex, as well as Arceus, where like you kind of want your whole bench filled. In this case, you want to fill your bench with Wishiwashis. And yeah, as you can see here, this attack does 40 more damage for each bench Wishiwashi and Wishiwashi EXs. So in total, you could do 150 damage if your whole bench is full of Wishiwashis. So yeah, pretty fun, pretty nice. But if you run specifically just Wishiwashis, like I feel like for the most consistency with this card, you just want to run full Wishiwashis. But the downside for that is that if you go against Oricorio, if you guys don't know, I mean, this guy is very scary. It pretty much negates all attacks from your EX Pokemon. And given that, if you look at Wishiwashi right here, yeah, he's an EX. And if you look at non-EX right here, yeah, doesn't do an attack, doesn't do damage. So if you're running just a pure Wishiwashi deck, then you can't compete against Oricorio. He's gonna completely steamroll you, just be in the front and just like beat you up. So ideally, I guess you would probably want to run like someone else, like probably like you would probably want to run Origin Farm Palkia, or someone who can do this decent damage. I guess Farfetch, since he is colorless, you could also run Farfetch if you want. But at the same time, I feel like doing that kind of hinders the deck's capabilities, because yeah, ideally you want Wishiwashi EX in the active, and then 3 all your Wishiwashis in the bench to maximize damage. And if you're not doing that, then in my opinion, like you could just, yeah, there are far better water decks out there in my opinion. Like Gyarados EX, like he got kind of phased out of the meta overall, but I feel like you'll still find viability with him. Like he's still going to be pretty fun and very easy and useful to use. Like, yeah, I'm talking about the Manaphy Origin from Palkia Gyarados deck. I have a deck showcase on my channel if you guys are curious. But yeah, I also have a deck showcase for this guy as well. And yeah, very fun, very unique. I just like the whole gimmick that, I mean, yeah, they're basically the same Pokemon, but this one's like a school of them. It's kind of similar to like, although it kind of makes no sense in my opinion. Like, yeah, if this is a logic for Pokemon, then how does Diglett turn into Dugtrio? Like, with that logic, shouldn't Dugtrio just be Diglett? Like, but I don't know, trio form. But yeah, I mean, like, I guess don't think about it too much. I mean, you don't even know what's under him. Like, they probably already answered it. Like, there's probably some kind of weird lore explanation. But does Diglett have feet? Nobody knows. At least not the mass public, but yeah. Number 7 slot. Number 6. Ooh, this guy is pretty cool. Surfer dude, Raichu right here. Get the reference. But yeah, Raichu, Alolan Raichu is pretty nice. Pretty cool. In the current meta, not really that played, but keep in mind, this Pokemon is colorless, so you could run this in essentially any deck. HP is kind of low. I think that's the main issue that kind of hinders this Pokemon, the HP. But I feel like depending on your matchup, you could see a lot of success with this card because does 60 base damage. This attack does 30 more damage for each energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon. So if you look at Darkrai EX, if he's fully built, you could do 150 damage to that Pokemon. If you're going against Giratina EX and he's fully built, you're doing 180 damage. It's completely one-shotting him. Now it gets crazier if you look at Shining Revelry Charizard, which, yeah, is like dominating meta currently. This guy, okay, he requires 5 energy. This guy right here, yeah, he requires 5 energy. So when he's fully built with Raichu, Alolan Raichu, you are doing 210 damage. Like, yeah, you're just one-shotting him. He Giant Caves, doesn't matter. Like, he's gonna get one-shotted. So yeah, this guy has a lot of potential, but currently it isn't really that meta prominent. Pretty unfortunate, but I still think you're gonna see a little bit of success using this card. I feel like the only downside is that the lightning archetype is kind of just, it is kind of depressing. It's kind of lackluster in my opinion. Like, Lucario is out, sure, but aside from that, the overall archetype feels very lackluster. I mean, there is Magneton, Magnezone, Magnemite, but if you run like Magnezone, at this point, most players are using these cards in non-lightning decks. Like, I've seen Magneton in like more non-lightning decks than actually pure lightning. But yeah, we shall see. You never know what will happen with this archetype. I might make a deck showcase for Alolan Raichu next. We shall see. It's either Alolan Raichu or Muck. But the more I think about Raichu, I mean, look at that art. That art looks amazing. I mean, no hate to this guy. Yeah, but look at that guy. Pretty cool. Just very happy. Just, yeah, kind of like the evolved form of the face of the Pokemon company. But yeah, that is the 6th slot. 5th slot, oh shit, yeah, this guy is freaking intense. Who would win, 1,000 men or 1 Crabominable? Yeah, it's kind of a redundant, it's a rhetorical question because yeah, Crabominable would just completely sweep the guys. And yeah, I did check his move pool in the game is very diverse. Like, yeah, there's definitely attacks that like would probably like one-shot the men, but yeah, this is let's see, Crabominable EX, very fun. Essentially the better, quote-unquote better Executor, because technically Executor EX has more potential, but this guy's more consistent. So yeah, HP 160, which, I mean, it might as well. Let's compare it to Executor. I think Executor also has 160. So yeah, same HP. Of course, this is water. So yeah, requiring only 1 energy as well. Insatiable Striking, 40 damage, base damage. During your next turn, this Pokemon's Insatiable Striking does plus 40 damage. So doing 80, pretty much, yeah, if you look at Executor, Executor does 40, but if you get a heads, you do 80 damage. And yeah, ideally, this guy's more consistent, but with Executor, yeah, you could very much just like get heads like 5 turns in a row and just like do 80 damage just back to back to back. After your first turn, you're going to be doing a lot of damage, but keep in mind, this guy can be easily countered with Sabrina. Because if your opponent Sabrina's, then this resets. Like the counter right here, like during your next turn. So even though your next turn, like let's say like you attack, your opponent's turn, they Sabrina, and then your following turn, you sub in this Pokemon again. Yeah, the counter resets. So you have to attack again. So that turn, if you do attack, you're only doing 40 damage, which, I mean, feels a little bit like an oversight. It doesn't really specify that. But I mean, that's how the game is built, I guess. But yeah, this guy is pretty fun, very consistent. And in this current meta, earlier this month, he was seeing relatively a little bit of playability. Like, he was pretty, yeah, a lot of people did use him. However, now, currently, he's been slowly phased out the meta primarily because of Giratina and Darkrai just dominance. But yeah, this guy goes against like Giratina and Darkrai, and then your opponent, like Rocky Helmet's their active Pokemon. This guy's gonna take a lot of damage. Like, yeah, most likely this guy's gonna lose to either Giratina or Darkrai. But again, that deck is insane. If you guys haven't seen it, it's in my channel. Yeah, Giratina, Darkrai deck showcase. They're still very meta. It's kind of crazy how like insane they are. Pretty fun, pretty standard. The only real downside, in my opinion, is that there aren't really any water cards that synergizes well with this guy. Like, if you look at like Executor EX, this guy has a lot of synergy, at least in the past, with cards that are stage 2, like Meowscarada. If you want to go very back, you could also say like Venusaur EX. Venusaur EX requires a lot of energy as well. Yeah, 4 energy. So the main like upside for this card is that only requires 1 energy. And then back in the old days, it would take you a couple turns to at least get your Meowscarada out. But nowadays, I mean, it's a lot easier given that there is rare candies. But yeah, before this guy got a lot of playability. Nowadays, I mean, he's still somewhat meta. 18 Trainer Executor was like dominating for a while. But yeah, he's getting slowly phased out, which is similar to Carbonable EX. But again, if they add like a stage 2 like or something that like takes a while to get built up, this guy is an amazing stall card, doing decent chip damage. So yeah, really it depends if they add like either like a support card to help him out, or a water type EX/non-EX that has a lot of synergy with this card. All right, we proceed on to number 4, final 4 right here. All right, so we proceed on to the final 4, top 4 right here. And of course, number 4 is Lunala EX. Now this card, in my opinion, not as great currently in the meta compared to its other legendary counterpart, Solgaleo, which we will be going later on. I mean, there's 3 more. But yeah, Lunala EX. This Pokemon is very interesting because, yeah, I somewhat a support, but at the same time, doing pretty decent damage. 100, only requiring 3 energy, HP of 180, and the main kind of gimmick of this card is Psychic Connect. Once during your turn, you may move all Psychic Energy from one of your bench Psychic Pokemon to your active Pokemon. In other words, by your 3rd turn, Lunala EX can attack. Depending on your RNG, but yeah, I've had games, I can probably just pull up a video right now. I've had games where like, yeah, you get like Cosmog in the active spot, have Giratina in the bench, because keep in mind, Giratina is amazing with just building up passive Psychic energy, and if you get lucky, you can rare candy, get Lunala EX your next turn, and then your following turn after that, you can just use Psychic Connect to basically give all the energy that you got from Giratina to your Lunala and just doing amazing damage. And keep in mind, since it's stage 2, you are getting the Lily buff as well. So yeah, 180 HP, and yeah, you're gonna get a lot of sustainability with this card. This is pretty much what I'm describing. This is from my deck showcase, which again, I suggest you guys checking out. As a small content creator, it does help me out a lot. But yeah, this is my 3rd turn. If you're looking at my key, yeah, this is my 3rd turn. In this scenario, I did go 2nd, so I think this is my 2nd turn. Yeah, I think this is my 2nd turn. I got pretty lucky with the RNG, and this guy's fully built. Like, yeah. So Lunala, like, I wasn't really expecting this Pokemon to be as consistent. Like, again, there's a bit of RNG. I feel like you might have more consistency with Solgaleo overall, but at the same time, I mean, Giratina is amazing. Lunala aside, Giratina can get fairly built up relatively fast, and let's say this Giratina does end up like getting pretty low, and let's say you have another Giratina in the bench, you can just use Leaf, sub in the other Giratina, Lunala EX, and just like that, you're now full HP Giratina is just fully built. So yeah, a lot of potential. In my opinion, if they do add another broken like Psychic card, I can very much see Lunala EX being a lot more meta. But even nowadays, like I feel like, yeah, I don't know what I ranked the, let me check. Okay, I gave in the video, I just checked, I gave it a B rating card. Yeah, I feel like currently it is B, but it can go higher depending on whatever comes out in the next meta. I think a lot of people sleep on this card. It's definitely very underrated in my opinion. And even so, like, yeah, if you're lower ranks or like mid ranks, I feel like you're gonna have a lot of fun using this guy. But in the current meta, I guess they really can't compete compared to like, I guess like in the high tier meta, like the top tier cards like Charizard, especially with the Giratina and Darkrai deck, because again, keep in mind, weak to darkness. So yeah, Darkrai will be doing some pretty decent damage onto this guy, not to mention chip damage as well. But yeah, that lands it the number 4th spot. 3rd one is, okay, we got 3 selections right here. You got Decidueye, Solgaleo, Incineroar. Pretty close, but the 3rd spot has to go to Decidueye. Yeah, Decidueye EX, he's very good. Like, don't get me wrong, I mean, the top 3, in my opinion, they're very, actually, yeah, they're very good. I'd say more like the top 2 and 3 are very close in how good they are. Number 1, in my opinion, I feel like is still like probably the best currently. But yeah, number 2 and 3, relatively close. And like when it comes to like just the rankings, Decidueye EX, HP 170. So a lot of HP already. Yeah. Very interesting because it has 2 cards. You can have a lot of fun with this guy. Very interesting because this card has 2 attacks. You can have a lot of fun with this guy. So his first attack right here, Pierce to Pain, 2 colorless energy. This attack does 100 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon that have damage on them. And his base attack right here, Razor Leaf, doing 80 damage. So yeah, theoretically, you could run this guy in any colored deck. I was just thinking about this, but he could very much have, he has very interesting synergy with Passimian. Because yeah, move all fighting energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. It doesn't really specify that it has to be fighting type. So yeah, say that Passimian dies, you have a Decidueye EX's build, you can do Pierce to Pain. The only downside is that if your opponent's Pokemon subs in somebody that's not damaged, then like you can't do anything. Unless you're running like a dual type, like fighting and grass. I mean, you could very much do that given this requirement. But yeah, this guy has, in my opinion, amazing synergy with Meowscarada. He got kind of phased out from, because before people would pair Meowscarada with Beedrill. Because yeah, this guy is, let me just pull up Beedrill. Because in my deck showcase, I did say this guy is relatively similar to Beedrill EX right here. So yeah, similar HP, similar key/energy requirements. I always say key. I don't know why. I'm just programmed to do that. Same weakness, of course. But yeah, I feel like you will get a lot more enjoyment with this guy. Because for Beedrill EX, he's somewhat, I mean, he could still see some viability if your opponent's Pokemon is still built. Your opponent can't feed his bench Pokemon. So yeah, you could play with that. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, for this guy, you definitely want to get him out as early as possible. Whereas in Decidueye, it's kind of like the opposite. Beedrill early game, Decidueye more late game. Because if you pair him with Meowscarada to maximize this, ideally for Meowscarada, early game you would get her out, then you would potentially get another copy Meowscarada. So if this guy dies, sub in the other Meowscarada. If that Meowscarada dies, then you sub in Decidueye, just kind of optimizing the point system overall. And then by the end of the game, you're assuming that like, yeah, especially after like 2 Meowscaradas, your opponent should be relatively weak. So even if he tries to like escape to the bench, you could just one-shot with Pierce the Pain. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of fun using Pierce the Pain. That's basically kind of like the trump card, determining the winner of the overall game. But yeah, very fun. I think the main downside is that it is weak to fire. Because again, I mean, Incineroar and Charizard are still very prominent. Charizard can one-shot this guy, given that. But again, Leaf Cape, huge buff to grass. Like grass is just getting buffier and buffier, like just bulkier. HP, basically essentially a better Giant Cape, just yeah, specifically for grass. So pretty nice. Yeah, Dina really loves grass type. Like they don't want grass type to die. They always, only lightning can get the same treatment. But yeah, because of that, I did put him in the 3rd spot. 2nd spot, there's 2 more. Place your bets. Who's it gonna be? All right, here we go. So number 2 is Solgaleo. This guy, yeah. So meaning that this guy Incineroar is number 1. Solgaleo, yeah, in my opinion, compared to Incineroar is definitely a lot better. It has a lot more value. But if you look over here, Solgaleo is pretty fun. So yeah, the main ability right here, the main gimmick is Rising Road. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may switch it with your active Pokemon. Essentially a free retreat. HP 180, also weak to fire, keep that in mind, pretty sad. Keep in mind, Charizard can also one-shot this guy potentially. Because yeah, Shining Revelry Charizard does 150 damage with his attack. Keep in mind, this guy has 180. But at the same time, when he attacks, he does 10 damage to itself. So yeah, you could potentially just one-shot this guy, making him essentially useless. But again, lilies exist, just help this guy out. And yeah, this guy is relatively nice. You want to get him out relatively fast, probably like your 2nd to 3rd turn. And if you do that, your opponent's pretty much screwed. If you can get this guy out a lot faster than your opponent, then there's really nothing they could do. Same thing, like yeah, my deck showcase, I did pair him with Skarmory. Like Skarmory is amazing. Early game, yeah, this guy is insane. Like, yeah, just insane damage, 50 damage. And yeah, with this, you want to pair Cyrus. And I feel like both cards synergize well with Cyrus. I mean, most cards do, but yeah, early game, let's say like, yeah, you would attack your opponent's Pokemon. They would try to retreat. Screw you. I got Cyrus. Cyrus definitely is a win condition. Like that 28-year-old man has won me a lot of games. But yeah, Skarmory, Solgaleo. If your Skarmory gets pretty low, you can just summon Solgaleo. And if you get pretty bad RNG, it isn't as bad. I say this with a grain of salt because I've had pretty bad RNG with this card and it's cost me the game. But yeah, I mean, you could like, yeah, potentially, if you want to maximize points, you would put in Skarmory 1st turn, then that Skarmory dies, sub in another Skarmory, that Skarmory dies, Solgaleo just sweeps. So you can very much do that. But at the end of the game, it is kind of risky. It depends how much value the Skarmories do get. But yeah, I've had a lot of games like, yeah, there was one night where I spent like, I think 2 hours using this card. And out of that 2-hour session, like 2 to 3 hours, I had like either I think a net loss of like 1 or 2, or like a net gain of like 1 point. Like it's, yeah, this is, that's the rank experience right there. This is, ever since then, I've never seen this card the same way. Like, yeah, which, I don't know, maybe there's a personal bias involved in my number 1 selection, but at the same time, I feel like the number 1 is overall a lot better, especially going against this guy. Yeah, because weak to fire. But yeah, speaking of number 1 is Incineroar EX. This guy's freaking intense, man. Look at that poster. Look at that art. Hands down, one of the best arts. This guy's about to just freaking, yeah, this is the last thing you see before you die. And yeah, Incineroar EX, 180 HP, so already very tanky. and has 2 attacks. This is what makes it very fun and very interesting in my opinion. Fire Fang, 30 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. So in a turn, you can do 50 damage. If your opponent gets Tails, then their next turn, they take 20 damage. So in total doing 70 damage, and very nice. And on top of that, Scarred, Charge, Smash, 80 damage, base damage. If this Pokemon has damage in it, this attack does 60 more damage. So 140, 160 if your opponent's Pokemon is still burnt. 180 if you use red and attack your opponent's EX Pokemon. And on top of that, with type advantage, 200. So yeah, this guy potentially could just one-shot Solgaleo. Yeah, this guy is very fun. Very similar playstyle to Charizard EX. Essentially, yeah, the first turns will go relatively somewhat the same. So if you look at these cards right here, so both their first attack only require 1 energy. So ideally for both of them, you want to go first. Your second turn, use Rare Candy to evolve. Then you can just do Fire Fang for Incineroar or Stoke for your Charizard. Then for your Charizard, your next turn, you can just do Steam Artillery. On the other hand, for Incineroar, to use a Scar Charge Smash, you would have to wait 2 more turns. But at the same time, you're doing damage to your opponent's Pokemon. So this is, yeah, in my opinion, I feel like Incineroar EX is a lot better against non-EXs. Like if your opponent has a lot of non-EXs or is using a non-EX deck, I feel like Incineroar EX would be a lot better than Charizard EX. Because depending on your opponent's Pokemon, yeah, Charizard EX can just get completely destroyed. Like if your Pokemon, if your opponent is using something like Lycanroc, Lycanroc is good for like chipping or doing decent damage to like, yeah, pretty tanky Pokemon. Basically doing 100 damage to that Charizard. Granted, keep in mind there is Lily, so nice support. But yeah, in my opinion, yeah, I find more enjoyment using Incineroar EX than Charizard EX. That might just be my personal bias, but using Stoke that one turn doesn't feel as satisfying as using Fire Fang. And keep in mind, if your opponent Team Rocket grunts and gets at least 1 heads, that sets you back. So your next turn, you're more likely, like, yeah, you most likely have to use Stoke yet again. And yeah, that'll just take a lot of turns. Whereas Incineroar, I mean, even if he gets just like Team Rocket grunted, still has Fire Fang, so you can still do some damage. There's also this deck by Joe, who won a tournament recently. Yeah, this guy used kind of like a hybrid. 2 Charizard EXs, 1 Incineroar. Red cards, very scary. But yeah, this is a very fun and nice hybrid deck. It really helps with the situation. Again, Incineroar better with non-EX, Charizard EX better with basically like tankier like EXs, bulkier Pokemon. And keep in mind, Incineroar can stand a chance to the freaking Nightmare Bird or Lucario, because yeah, Fire Fang doesn't do the damage, but your opponent's Pokemon is now burned. So you are doing 20 to 40 damage to your opponent's Lucario. So yeah, you could definitely still do that. And yeah, that's the list right here. This is the list. I ranked all 11 cards, 10/11 if you want to count Rayquaza, but yeah, I had to. Rayquaza is cool. But yeah, that's the, let me zoom out. This is, yeah, that is the tier list right here. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree in the comments below. But yeah, I feel like this is somewhat accurate. I mean, you could probably interchange some of them. Depending on you, you could do this to switch Decidueye. But yeah, this is the list overall. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys found this video a little bit informative and entertaining as well. And with that being said, just to reiterate, I consider liking and subscribing so you don't miss out on Pokemon Pocket content, because yeah, the new booster pack should be coming out relatively soon, and there's a high chance it's going to be Ultra Beast themed, because I mean, if you think about Sun and Moon, the main gimmick is really Ultra Beast, and we haven't seen many Ultra Beasts so far. I mean, there was Necrozma. I mean, yeah, Necrozma exists, I guess, if you want to count him as an Ultra Beast. I don't really know lore wise, like, is he an Ultra Beast? Maybe. But yeah, I can very much see the new booster pack being like, yeah, this Ultra Beast theme. That'll be very interesting. They can definitely do like a meta that's very similar to like Arceus. Like the Arceus, like if you guys are familiar with the Arceus meta, I can very much see an equivalent to Ultra Beast, like setting up a whole Ultra Beast meta. That'll be pretty interesting and unique. Yeah, that's the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Peace.